What is up, guys? Today we're going to talk about runes and masteries. First, let's talk about our runes here. I have 3 pages, but every single page I always run armor and ability power. The reason I run armor is because it gives you an insane amount of sustain in the jungle. Sure, you could run health and have more health to survive those bursty trades, but the armor reduces the amount of damage you take from the jungle camps, meaning you have to heal less, you have to use potions less, and I feel like armor is just such a powerful stat. You can't forget about it. It's just too great. And then on top of that, I run ability power and Quints because they just happen to be probably the strongest quintessences you can take on Nidalee, unless you're feeling real cheeky and want to go for something like movement speed. Now, the difference between most of my rune pages would be the reds and the blues. On my early game rune page, I run an attack damage. Now, when I say early game rune page, this means that this page is built to clear the jungle camps as fast as possible and have the best chance of killing someone off before I go back to base. So this is essentially for my first 5 minutes of the game. If I'm looking to make some crazy plays, I'll run this rune page. Now for my mid-game rune page, again, I'm running armor and ability power, but the difference is I run magic penetration and armor penetration. I run the hybrid penetration runes, as well as I run scaling cooldown reduction. Did I mention why I ran cooldown reduction on this one as well? I probably should do that. I run 7.5% flat cooldown reduction because it does increase your mobility. You pounce more often, as well as you have more cycles of your Cougar combo. That's about it, nothing crazy there. But here I run scaling cooldown reduction because it'll have the same impact come mid-game, but then you're able to scale into late game a little bit better. So this mid-game rune page is really good, allowing me to have a decent amount of impact in mid-game, especially with this magic penetration. Now, the reason you want to run hybrid penetration and not flat magic penetration is very important. Jungle camps have less than 0 magic resist, and I know a lot of people don't know this, but magic penetration does not reduce your opponent's magic resist below 0. So if your opponent has less than 0 magic resist, magic penetration does jack squat for you. So picking up flat magic penetration here would help my clear speeds absolutely nothing. It would do nothing for my clear speeds early. So getting hybrid penetration does help though, because armor happens to exist on the jungle camps. And so I can actually take advantage of this armor penetration and deal nearly true damage to all the jungle camps thanks to these hybrid penetration runes. Now let's talk about my late game. Late game is pretty similar to my mid game setup, except for instead of running scaling cooldown reduction, I run scaling magic resist. And the reason I do this is because in the late game, Nidalee doesn't struggle to deal damage. Nidalee struggles to survive, particularly to enemy mages and enemy burst champions. So picking up this magic resist is really good to survive those champs like LeBlanc or Anivia, or those crazy champs that scale really well into the late game and want to one-shot me. So that's typically my runes. If you have any questions about those, feel free to leave those below. But now let's talk about masteries. I do run 6, 18, and 6 in masteries. They're pretty self-explanatory for most of them, but I want to talk about double-edged sword. You pick this one up because you have transformations. You can take advantage of the melee form of double-edged sword as well as the ranged form, so you can reduce the damage you would take when you're in Cougar form, but you also increase the damage when you're in Cougar form. It's really cool because you have the ability to switch between the 2 forms. Now, Savagery is a little bit better than Wanderer because you're typically going to be in combat in the jungle, and this really increases the speed of your jungle clears. Assassin you can swap out for Runic Affinity if you're really feeling it. I like Assassin because I'm a dick and like to kill people. Merciless is really important. For a champion with an assassination ability like her Q, her takedown, this is going to really impact her damage. On top of that, I also like to take Precision. Dangerous game versus Bandit, it's up to you if you want to. But I do like to take Precision over Intelligence. This is something that a lot of people are like, why do you do that? Why do you do Precision and not Intelligence? I don't find cooldown reduction to be all that impactful on Nidalee. I don't build Nidalee for cooldown reduction. That's also another thing. People would say, why do you run cooldown reduction? Why do you run 7.5% cooldown reduction here? And then how are you going to get 40? You know, you're going to be an odd number. I don't max cooldown reduction on Nidalee. And the reason for that is because I feel like she's an assassin. I should only need to do 1 quick combo, maybe 2, to kill a person. I don't need to be spitting out 4 or 5 combos to kill someone. So I'm not going to max cooldown reduction. I'm going to max my impact. And so Precision allows you to do that with the penetration. It gets you more damage on a single combo instead of getting a little bit more combos in a small frame of time. It makes it safer for you as well because you only have to go in for a short amount of time instead of having to stick around for longer. And then I run Thunderlord's Decree because Thunderlord's pretty powerful. But the most important mastery that I run would be Tough Skin. This is probably the unsung hero of Nidalee Jungle. Tough Skin is the most powerful mastery on this entire page. 2 less damage from neutral monster basic attacks sounds pretty minor, but when you add up the amount of damage you take less from this single mastery, if I were to do a full clear, the amount of damage I would take less from the entire jungle from 1 clear is around 200 damage. That's 200 health I save from picking up 1 mastery. It is an insanely efficient mastery to pick up. It's 1 point, 2nd tier, so great. I honestly don't suggest picking up anything else beyond that. Some people would say, why not put 12 on ferocity for the bounty hunter? You know what? Tough Skins is just so great. Screw Bounty Hunter. I gotta pick it up. But those are my masteries and runes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Hopefully those are helpful to those of you guys who are waiting for them and looking around for these. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Shoot me a message if you're kind of self-conscious about asking questions in the comments. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.